All right, I was recently asked to build some cornhole boards, and they wanted a vinyl decal on it, a vinyl wrap for cornholes. So I ordered one, and I'm installed it already. But I'm gonna show you how I did it. First, this is a sheet of pre-sanded plywood. That's about $30 more than a regular sheet of plywood. Pre-sanded because it's already smooth, and here I'm just wiping off the excess of dirt and the grit that's on it. Um, then I'm gonna lay my decal down here and of course roll it out, and then I'm gonna size it up to the board. Make sure I find all the corners, make sure it's all straight. Yeah, again, from my dad, learn all about vinyl. But I'm gonna lay it down right here, get it straightened out, make sure it's covering all corners and all sides and everything, and get ready to do what we call hinges. With a little piece of painter's tape about midways. This is actually the second board I did. The first one went a lot easier than the second one, oddly to say. But this was a little more difficult than the first one for some reason. I guess because I was going a little fast. But yeah, this is where I'm putting the hinges down to hold it in place while I peel one side of it back. And of course, if I was doing this with my dad working with vinyl, he'd be telling me to hurry up. But I moved too slow. I'm moving slow because this kind of stressed me out to be my first one. Little blue thing there, that little card came with the vinyl. It's a squeegee. It's going to help me get the air bubbles out. So here I'm peeling back the decal. This is one of the most stressful parts to me because this decal, if you mess it up, you can't just like print another one. You have to actually order it, and these things aren't cheap. Here I'm cutting with my knife. I'm going to cut the backing off the board. So get ready to lay the first piece of vinyl down. Notice I rolled it to my hinge. I went a little bit too far on that part though, because I should have just went up just a little bit shorter, because it actually made it harder to lay back down. I got ready to lay it down. Had a couple of cuts here because I messed up a couple times, but edited that out. But now I'm laying it down a little smoother and slower. And on the other side of it, I'm squeegeeing it with the little squeegee card, to get all the air bubbles out as I lay it down. And you see it folded over, so it made it kind of hard. The first time went really smooth, didn't have any problem with it, but like I said, this time, second time around, I did. But finally got it laid down, and then I went over with that card several times. It's got a softer side on one side of the card, so it won't scratch the vinyl. But here I'm just squeegeeing all the bubbles out of air bubbles out of it, and it's sticking to the board pretty good because it's pre-sanded. If I was using regular plywood, it had little grooves in it, and you can sand all you want, and the grooves are still going to be there, and it's going to show through the decal. So I had to get the more expensive type of plywood. Don't even have to sand the pre-sanded, of course. But here I'm rolling back the top of it now. I actually did this part before I took the hinges off. I should take the hinges off first before I did this, the painter's tape. And right here, I just now realized, didn't take the painter's tape off. So pulling it off, I'm holding the roll, which is a kind of another mistake I made, because this is not the process. But I got it off, and I'll show you in just a second. So then you roll it back to where the cut part's already at, and where the part's sticking to the plywood, and then we'll tear the backing off as we roll it out. This is the second stressful part, is rolling the other side out. You can see how slow I'm going. My dad, of course, would tell me to hurry up and tell me to roll faster, but he's 87. I don't work as fast as him. So anyway, squeegeeing out the bubbles here again with the squeegee as I pull the backing off and roll it across the board. Just you want to make sure you get all the bubbles out, and there's no air pockets. You can actually, if you're doing it with air pocket and you can't get it out, you can actually try to pull the decal back, but this thing sticks pretty good. Or you can just get the edge of your razor and just poke a hole in it, and it would not cut it. Just poke a hole and get the air out and push it out that way. But luckily I was able to get all the air bubbles out of it doing it with the squeegee. Like I said, this is my first time, so in the future I'll probably go a little faster and have it down more. But very simple to put in vinyl letters on something. The same process, except the decal's so big. It's a little bit different than vinyl letters, as if it were on a sign or something. But again, I'm going real slow here because the stuff sticks so good. Pulling that backing off, and it tried to buckle on me, so I had to pull it tight with my left hand while I squeegeed with my right hand, and then eventually work my way to the end. It takes a little time. All right, fixing to lay the rest of it down now. Started feeling a little bit better about it now because I'm almost to the end of it. Starting to get a little more less stressful, not sweating quite as bad. Fixing to lay it on down now and go into phase 2 of the project. Got it all flat now. Next thing I'm gonna do is after I've run this thing across it a few more times to make sure there's no air bubbles, I'm gonna try to find the hole that I cut for the cornhole bags at the top part of the board. Get my little razor knife out again and try to cut that little piece out. Right here, the parts of the board, it will overlap the board a little bit sometime, but you just have to cut that excess off. So right here, I'm cutting around the hole of the board to get the wrap part out of that section there. That I can it actually will overlap into the part of the hole, so it makes it pretty good too. Once I cut this out and roll it over with my hands a little bit. This is actually pretty easy. This part is still moving slow though, but it goes pretty good. It's not as hard as I thought it would be. Get this piece out here. Right out it comes, and then you just sort of roll it over a little bit and then stick to the inside part of the hole on the board. I was pretty pleased with how this came out though. It sticks really good. Right there's the edge that I got to cut off. I was showing you that hangs over the side of the board, which is good because that way you know it's going to cover the complete part of the board. And it's not too narrow, too short, or your board ain't cut wrong. This is this thing I'm putting down here is actually something you put on plywood that you run the saw along to make a straight line. I'm using it for this though because what I'm gonna do is clamp it, and then I'm gonna get my little razor knife and I'm gonna cut the edge off. Just go straight down the side of it like I would if I was using a skill saw to cut along the side of a piece of wood. I'm cutting it with my razor knife and I'm gonna pull the excess off. This gives me a good straight line. I'll pull the excess off right there. Do this for all 4 sides. I mean, all 4, well, 2 ends and 2 sides. This thing finally come into use. I hardly ever use this tool right here because it doesn't work well for me. It's just a Harbor Freight tool, but it actually had dust sitting on it from sitting on the shelf and never use it. But now I found a new use for that piece of tool. All right, turn this around now and do the other side. After I do this board, I don't show these in the video, but afterwards I'll wipe it off with a semi-damp cloth and I'll put some polychloric, I can't say that word good, a coat over the decal that helps it preserve it a little bit, and that also brings some more of the shine out on the decals. Decal's pretty shiny now, but you want to put some kind of coating on it to cover it, to just protect it a little bit. And then we'll cut the other side here. Then I'll go in and cut the ends after this, and that'll be the end of that part. But pretty easy project though. I'll probably be doing more of these as time goes on. Sometimes it's a lot easier than doing the painting myself on the board. Looks a lot better too, of course, because it's a vinyl decal. But anyway, that's about the gist of it. Pretty simple. Hope the customer's happy with it. I think it came out pretty good. Hard to get the vinyl off your hands. It sticks to your hands pretty good too. Now we move it over to the end, cut that off on that side, and adjust this tool a little bit. Glad I found a use for this thing because I was fixing to get rid of it, but every tool has a different kind of more than one purpose, I guess. because I don't try to cut a straight line without some kind of guide, because that just don't work well. Clamp this thing down. Make sure it's good and tight, not gonna slide, especially when using a razor. Then I'm gonna cut it right here. I do both ends like this. Then I seal it with the polyclear semi-gloss. And that will be that. All done.